Hi, this is Dr. Gayle, and I wanted you to know I have a whole bunch of other things to offer you. If you go to spunkyoldbroad.com, you will see an array of SOB stuff for sale and all our latest products and additions. If you're interested in getting on TV, I have a brand new course, Get on TV. And if you want to start your own business, you'll want my SOB Guide to Business Success. I know you'll love them all. I guarantee it.
Welcome to the SOB Radio Show, where we have fun, interesting guests, and hot topics. Each week, we offer insights into music, fashion, health, fitness, and humor. Do you have the perfect guest for us to interview? I want to know. Drop me a line on our Facebook page at SpunkyOldBroad1 or reach out to me on our website at SpunkyOldBroad.com. And now, back to the show.
I'm back with Diana Devi, and Diana's website is anagelesslife.com, and she believes in people who are in their 80s and 90s, walking and moving and dancing and just doing a whole bunch of things. So I want to ask you, Diana, and I think I know the answer to this, but I want to get your viewpoint. Do you feel ageism is real?
Oh, absolutely. There is no question about it. I was in a department store the other day, and this just is so forefront in my mind of the validation of ageism. And it wasn't in a section that was for teenagers or necessarily that group, but it was kind of a younger vibe associated with it. And I was the only woman that was over 30 probably in this section. And I was looking at some skirts because I like to wear skirts when I dance. And just when I watched the salespeople kind of looking at me and whispering at each other and looking at me, and I'm like, you know what? That's silly. Because, and it's also, if somebody else had a different mindset than what I did, would have been very frustrating. For me, it was like, you have no idea what life is like and what's in store. And to be so judgmental is actually sad on their part because there are things that they're missing out on. But for people that are in that age bracket, there are two ways you can take it. You can say, well, I don't care what you think. Or a lot of women especially take that in and think, I need to look a certain way. I need to, have all of these procedures done, and I need to look like I'm 20 or 30 or whatever it is. And that then percolates in through to their body posture because sometimes they'll become more retreated. The shoulders start rounding, and you see them kind of pulling back because they don't feel like they're valued or worthy in society. And so I see it in subtle ways in jobs that I've been in. I've seen it in social media. I got to hand it to Helen Mirren. She ran down the Paris runway, 70 years old, looking awesome. But you don't see that very often.
Well, it's funny. You talked about these short skirts, etc. I think, and I know you must have great legs because you're doing all this dance and so forth, but it just kills me. In fact, I saw yesterday the young girls who are wearing the short skirts who have horrible legs and should never be showing them. And I know that sounds terrible when you say, well, people with bad legs shouldn't show them, but you do want to look your best when you go out. Just like I don't think people should wear midriffs who have bulges. I don't think people should wear too tight pants. I don't think you should, there are things that can make you look fabulous, and there are things that can make you look dumpy. And I think if a woman has great legs, she should show them. And if she doesn't have great legs, she shouldn't show them. So it's just as simple as that. But why do you think we care about ageism so much?
I think because as we get older, we think we're worth less to society and less valued. And because we're thought of things that are young and new and exciting, rather than being cultured, sophisticated, intelligent, experienced, those kinds of things. And I think it's time for a revolution. And
Well,
I
I,
think,
I agree with you. I agree with you. And isn't it funny that in some societies, elders are considered the people with the wisdom, and in our society, we kind of dump them and say, yeah, they're not thinking in modern terms, and they don't know what's going on, and we should not pay attention to them. So I think that's kind of interesting.
yeah, I took a dance class, an African class, the guy who taught it, it was part of Minnesota has a grant program, and he had choreographed something for some dancers. And I was in there with 20-year-olds, and I could keep up with him. And he was actually afterwards walk up to me and mention something about, the way that I moved and those kinds of things, which I think may have been a little bit of a surprise to him because he generally only works with the younger group. So I think by us going out into the world and showing them that this is who we are and this is what we can do, and we're not going to be shut off or shut in or ignored, is a great way to overcome it.
Well, bravo to you. That's wonderful. I think that's terrific. So, can you give us examples of women who you believe embrace your quote, which is age is just a number. It's how you live your life that counts. Are there people other than Helen Mirren who you can resonate with?
Well, Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Oh my gosh, she's wonderful. Yes.
I know. Jane Fonda was just arrested for protesting with regard to climate change.
Right.
So
and looks fabulous. Of course, she says, I have had surgery, but even with surgery, she does look great.
yeah. Isabella Rossellini is back now as the Lancome model. I mean, they basically did not renew her contract when she was in, I think, her 40s because they said she was too old. Now she's back there again.
Wow, that's great.
So, those are examples of women that have said, you know what, this is who I am and this is where I am. And, I'm taking the world by storm.
And, interesting too with Ruth Bader Ginsburg, not only her battles with cancer and age, but, she was so tied in with her husband who just supported her so well her entire life and went to bat for her and championed her. And when he passed away, she still kept going and would never give up and still did a fabulous job on the Supreme Court and everywhere else. So coups to her. So those of us who are living very busy lives, and there are those of us over the age of 50 who do, and how does it fit into your, what you call more, which we have to incorporate into our already busy lives? I mean, you already said that some people can't find the time to do all of these things.
Well, I think we have to make ourselves a priority. And especially women will give to everybody else. But you need to recharge your battery. And one of the first steps is deciding I'm going to do something for me so I feel better. And starting with even just little 5-minute things. It might be that, for example, I'd recommended to a client, she had an extremely stressful job. And I said, okay, go into the bathroom, take 3 minutes, just do deep breathing and just reconnect with your body. And when she started to do that, then she was willing, when she found out how good that felt, then she was open to doing more things after that. So by starting small with, okay, so maybe today I decide I'm not going to eat that muffin. I'm not saying I can never have a muffin. I'm just saying my priority today is to eat better at this point in time. Because I think if we start to say that we can't have something or it's forbidden, then that really changes our mindset. No, our goal and our priority is to feel better. Let me take one tiny step toward that goal.
So it's really one step at a time, and it's really saying to yourself, I am important, which is not an egotistic thing to say. You can say, I am important. I need to take care of myself. And if I don't, I'm not worth anything to anybody else. I have to come first. I have to take care of me. And one of the ways I do that is through moving and by eating properly And I think that's fabulous. So tell us a little bit about what you do in your practice.
So I start with some of the basics. So I kind of get an idea of where it is that people are currently. And then I have a program that I send people through because I find that the majority of people need to start actually in about the same place. Most people don't drink enough water. A lot of times there are things that we put on our skin that actually ages us rather than doing what it's supposed to be, which is
Oh, you
quote
better
unquote
tell us those right
anti-aging.
now, Diana. You better tell us those right now.
So those are well, for example, the parabens, the methylparabens, and any of the parabens whatsoever, those are not good. They have for some people have a pseudo estrogen like effect, and people don't tolerate them well. A lot of the lauryl sulfates, those are also chemicals that you find in shampoo and in dishwashing soap and anything, laundry soap, any of those kinds of things actually dry your skin out. And for a lot of people, stimulates an immune response. And when I talk about immune response, anytime your body is stressed with inflammation, it can't do the things to repair and restore and revitalize your body and your skin the way that it normally would. Our bodies are fabulous. They're great at retooling things. They have redundancy within them to do things, but we do things that impact our body's ability to regenerate. So let's start pulling those things out by what I use on my skin is jojoba oil and coconut oil. They don't have anything. I get organic. For my coconut oil, it's unrefined and it's virgin, which means that it hasn't had a lot of chemicals added to it. They use cold press, which means the old-fashioned pressing method to get the oil to come out. They don't put chemicals in there to pull it out. It works great. Absolutely fabulous.
Well, that's what people really needed to hear and to know. So, what do you do after this? What happens after that?
So then after that, I focus on talking about what you're eating because eating again has the ability to boost your ability to regenerate. And that's why I talk about the 5 foods that actually help us to regenerate, things like berries and, using collagen and good oils, those kinds of things. So you can start incorporating those into your diet. And I find that most of the time people actually enjoy their food more. It tastes better. Who would know that it actually tastes better? They eat less because they're satisfied and it's good for your body. So that's part of the other challenge is with a lot of the fast food that's out there, there's too much salt, too much sugar, and too many preservatives in it, which actually can be addicting. So we eat more. Our body says, I still don't have what I need. I need to eat even more of it. So shifting that a little bit and starting to incorporate good, healthy foods and having good, healthy snacks readily available is one of the cornerstones of the eating piece.
But wouldn't it be wonderful if somehow we did this from the time we were able to make our own choices? Because if people have been eating poorly all their lives and they get into their 60s and their 70s and, they've been eating a certain way all their life, it's really hard to get them to change, isn't it?
It is, but what I find is there's also more of a willingness because some of the foods cause so much pain and inflammation that when they notice that pain level goes down, they're more likely to stick with it. I worked with a woman who was in her 40s and she'd never eaten anything that didn't come out of a box until I started giving her fruits and vegetables that I brought with me. So I would just kind of set it over by her and say, try this out. If you don't like it, fine. And she's dramatically changed her diet.
Wow.
But,
fantastic.
It's just being exposed and being open to say, I might feel better. And when you find out that these foods cause less puffiness around the eyes, less weight retention around the middle, less pain, it kind of becomes more inviting to make that change.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful. So you're really working with them on you're working with them on mindset, you're working with them on movement, on food. What else do you do?
Sleep. Sleep
Sleep.
is such a biggie. Sleep is when the body goes through, and I kind of think of it as kind of like the iRobot, that goes around or the broom that goes around and cleans your house.
Right.
That's kind of what happens with our bodies at night when we sleep. So your body goes through and pulls out all of those chemicals and all of those byproducts and toxins that are there. The brain resets. That's when we convert short-term memory to long-term memory, all of those kinds of things. And understanding the importance of sleep is critical. And then understanding things that we can do to make our sleep better. For example, doing some little stretches or doing a little meditation. You can do this at night when you're laying in bed. All of those kinds of things begins to reset the body and let it know it's time to go to sleep. Looking at, okay, do you work on a computer? What does that blue light do? So I have times when I need to work on the computer late, but I have a set of glasses that I use that blocks the blue light. So the blue light stimulates the brain to say, hey, it's daytime, we should be up and awake. The blue glasses block that light, so it's easier for me to go to sleep after I've had to work on the computer late at night.
Wow.
So
Yeah, that's great. That's good advice. Because I've heard both sides of the story. I've heard people who are over 50 saying, I can't seem to sleep very well. And I have people over 50 saying, I like to sleep and I sleep too much. So there is always, I guess, a happy balance.
yeah, and I think looking at the role of food and exercise in that too, because those impact. So typically, I recommend that people eat their last meal of the day at least 2 to 3 hours before they're going to go to bed. Because if all of their blood is, in the belly trying to help digest the food, then it can't do the things in the other parts of the body that it needs to do. You got to move. If you don't move, the body doesn't have the ability to reset all of those stress hormones, which allow you to sleep at night. Um, if you're not hydrated enough and those kinds of things, then your body can't get rid of the toxins, and then it has to work extra hard at night. So a lot of these things are very interrelated. So taking them piece by piece and understanding how they work together and how even making a small change in one can really benefit other areas.
What do you do though? Like in European countries, they eat so late. I know that, for example, in Spain, you normally don't eat dinner till 8 or 9 in the evening. And I mean, by that time, I would be already famished and I would probably be sleeping already. But what do you do about situations where there are cultures that eat late?
Well, what my experience has been, the cultures eat late, but they also stay up later and they don't go to work at 6 or 7 or get up at 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning like we do. Their whole time schedule seems to be a little bit later. I also know that many European countries, just like the United States, are faced with an obesity epidemic. So that's something new that hasn't happened. Culturally, they've eaten very late. I don't do well eating late at night. So what I'll do is
I don't either.
I'll have soup, or maybe I'll just have salad, and that'll be it.
Wow. Well, these sure have been some fabulous tips, Diana. I mean, these are things that everybody over the age of 50 should be paying attention to. You want your mindset to be healthy. You want your mindset to be, just right on target. And because that's people, when you are not on target with your mind, people already jump to a conclusion that, oh, she's too old and she doesn't know how to do this or that. So mindset is so important. And then, of course, moving so that you feel good, and then eating properly. What else do we plug into our, and of course, I think the social connectedness as well. So what else do we need to plug into our day to be this whip person?
So the other thing I talk about is attitude. And this gets into a little bit to the discussion that we had about ageism and how we feel about ourselves, but also having an attitude of gratitude, and rather looking at saying, oh my God, why am I in this place, and this and this and this is wrong. It's like, you know what? I'm this age. I've lived a lot longer than a lot of other people. I've had all of these experiences in my life. Even if they weren't the greatest experiences, I would not be who I am now without those. I wouldn't have gained the knowledge that I gained. And so being able to find things that you're grateful for actually begins to start to change your brain so you become happier. You enjoy life more. You find more things that are enjoyable, which then dovetails, I think, very nicely into the ageism. If I enjoy life and enjoy the things that I see, then I am going to be more likely to want to do more things. I'm more available to the world, and the world is more available to me.
Well, that's so true. That is so absolutely true. I mean, I am all about positive attitude. It's all about, because the negativity gets you nowhere and it depresses everybody. And then you tell everybody about it and you get them down. So it becomes a cycle of just continuous, you know.
Yeah, you're down the drain, right?
Exactly, exactly. Well, we have about 5 minutes left, Diana, and I want to make sure that everybody knows where to find you and anything else that we haven't covered. You have a free gift for our listeners. If they go to your website, which is anagelesslife.com,
Yes.
they're going to find really a publication on 5 foods that repair, restore, and vitalize your skin. Is that right?
That is correct.
And so take advantage of that so you'll know what you should be eating and how it's going to help you and so forth. But in your variety of life, starting out as a pharmacist and doing all of your physical activities and participating in an Argentine tango marathon in Greece, what else have we not talked about that you think it's important for our listeners to hear?
Well, and I think you touched on it a bit when you ask about, is somebody in their 90s too old? Anything is possible. And it starts with baby steps. So taking those first steps toward feeling better, toward movement, toward eating different, any of those kinds of things. I post videos on Facebook about tips and things for people to do. I show that I'm going dancing. I want people to see that all of these things are possible and know that I'm not that much different. They can do the same thing. Sure, I've had all of the experience and all of those kinds of things with healthcare and all of that. And that's why I, quite frankly, have all of these other things that I do that are not medically related. But you too can do this. Anybody can do it. Just step in and go for it.
That's true. And sometimes you can even be the only one in your class. I mean, sometimes people try out for these competitions and they win because they're the only one in that particular age group.
That's right.
That's fantastic. I mean, just think I won this race and of course I'm the only one in it, but there I am. I've got my medal. So that's what counts.
You showed up, right?
Yes, exactly. And that's what it's all about. It's showing up. And isn't that everything in life, Diana? Showing up and being there and participating. And I think that's an important lesson for us all to learn. I mean, that's a part of everything that we do. So show up. I mean, show up at your community. Show up at your hobby. You may have a hobby that you love. Show up in all kinds of different ways. So I want to repeat again. Diana's website, which is anagelesslife.com. And you'll find her, is it an article, a PDF? What exactly is it, Diana, that they'll get?
It's a PDF.
Okay, it's a PDF 5 foods that repair, restore, and revitalize your skin. And if you don't have a computer or you don't know how to access the website anagelesslife.com, go to somebody, go to your grandchild, go to somebody who can get online, get to that, and get the PDF, because they will know how to download it and get a copy of it. So again, I think it's important to pay attention to everything. And gosh, don't you want to be a whip, a woman who is hot, intelligent, and in her prime? I always say women are like fine wine. They get better as they age. So we're kind of in the same ballpark there, Diana. I think we think the same way there. Is there anything else you'd like to leave our listeners with?
No, I just want to thank you for the opportunity to share with this. And seriously, anybody can be a whip. Believe me, it's possible.
I agree with her. So folks, do that. And remember, I'm going to be hosting a retreat later this year for women 50 plus. If any of you listening would like more information on it, just email me at Gayle, Gayle, Carson13 at gmail.com. I'll give you information on it. I'd love to have you there. So I look forward to seeing you. And thank you so much for joining us today with Diana Devi.